What's up, everybody? Welcome once again. This is Syracuse Basketball Postgame. It's presented by Krause Health. We're live here on the Syracuse Orange Basketball Facebook page, live on Twitter and YouTube, and ready to talk Syracuse basketball with you as the Orange let a quad one opportunity. They didn't have a chance at it all night. So they just didn't have an opportunity to get it one way or the other. From the minute this one started, Virginia Tech dominated from start to finish and ultimately beat Syracuse 85-70. Syracuse falls to 13-9, 6-5. And oh, by the way, Virginia comes into the Dome on Monday night. So as January is about to cross into February here, Syracuse at this point just has no shot at making the NCAA tournament. Flat out, period. Short of a miracle run, short of winning the ACC tournament, we're looking at another year of this team not going to the postseason. They just don't have the wins. They haven't piled up enough wins. This was a chance for a quad one win here. There's an opportunity for a quad one win on Monday, but that would be their first of the season. And there's just not enough time left. It's getting late early for this team. And what this team exactly has to play for going down the stretch, it's pretty much three letters, NIT at this point. That's kind of the hard truth they're staring at here. Hunter Couture back for Virginia Tech. He makes a huge difference from the outside with 6 3-pointers. He gets 20 points on the night. Grant Basile inside was huge with 25 points, and Syracuse was just outclassed in this entire basketball game. Judah Mintz had 20 points. Interesting that Malik Brown started. He had a double-double last time against Virginia Tech, but other than Judah and a couple of spots here and there, this was a team that just got flat out dominated by Virginia Tech. Let's start to highlight some of your comments here, then we'll go over some numbers from this one. Not that we need to really, because the Syracuse just was never in this game, losing 85-70. Brian says they go into Virginia exhausted, screwed out of the Carolina game, but didn't take care of business tonight. Judah played with everything he had, but you can't have Jesse out. Nothing from Benny, JG3, or Bell and win. Lori, I think you got what is on everybody's mind here tonight. Nice adult beverage to help this one go down tonight. Michael says, can't defend any of what's being said. Coach did not have them ready to play, and there didn't seem to be a game plan other than Judah. Not much to say in this one. That was rough. Tim says, Aaron wants to see a change made. Doug says, very disappointing performance. Zone shredded all night. What does Jim have against playing against the man? Look, Virginia Tech had pristine ball movement in this game. Jim should have went to the man. He should have went to the press. He should have went to the 3-3-5. He should have switched everything up, letting Virginia Tech just move the ball at will. Clearly, the zone was in trouble early. We mentioned Couture was hot early, but Basile getting it inside. I mean, this team just move the ball as well as could be. They had 26 assists in this game, and this is not one of those situations where teams get assists on the zone by virtue of moving the ball around the perimeter and hitting threes. Virginia Tech put on a clinic passing the ball in this one tonight. They got overplayed here. Brian looks at it as an embarrassment tonight for the Orange. Can't blame this one on the refs. No, Julie, you cannot. This was not even close to the refs being involved in this game. It was just Syracuse flat out getting their butt kicked in this one. David says the worst one he's seen in years. Dave says over or under 4 more wins this year to avoid back-to-back losing seasons. I mean, that's really what they're playing for, to avoid a losing season. There's still, I think, 6 quad 1 or quad 2 games left here. You get Virginia Monday. You get Boston College and Florida State after that. So those are 2 bad teams that Syracuse should be able to take care of business, although Florida State gave Clemson a hell of a run today before Clemson won that game right down the stretch. It was the game on the ACC network before the Syracuse game tonight. So look, the ACC, you just never know down the stretch. As Dale says, why in the world didn't JB put the press on early, at least here and there? I get what you guys are saying about that. I don't disagree with that. The question is, how much difference does it make? I mean, Virginia Tech was just moving the ball at will. They're scoring inside. They're scoring outside. Maybe Syracuse gets a little more momentum. I mean, Judah Mintz was their lone bright spot tonight. Maybe he starts leading some things here. But Hunter Couture took Joe Girard out of the game. Played terrific defense on Girard. So even if you're getting more possessions and you go to press, you go to man, I don't think it matters, right? I agree they should have tried something instead of just getting shredded in the zone. But your main scoring threats were out. Jesse Edwards picks up 3 fouls. with about 5 minutes to go in the first half. He clearly wasn't on his game and couldn't handle the matchup inside. So I get what you're saying, and you look at what they didn't do in this case versus what they did, but I think based on a few other things that were happening in that game, really would it have mattered. Lynn checking in from Florida tonight. What was that? Where were the shooters? This was a game they needed to switch to man-to-man. I was dying watching this. Don't think NIT. Girard was not there. No assists. Aaron thinks simply a disgrace out there tonight. Why not press sooner? Again, a lot of you guys are saying that. I don't blame you for saying that. But I don't know if it makes a difference in this game. I mean, Virginia Tech just outclassed them in a lot of other ways in this game. Anthony saying he's been a Boeheim apologist for the past 6 years. But, Brent, this is an embarrassing. This team isn't respected like they used to be. David noting I had to change the channel at the end of the first half, but flip back to endure more terrible play. And this one, yeah, a lot of frustrated fans in the chat here tonight. What's happened to the 1-3-1? They ran some last year as a changeup. Scott, they actually went to that briefly, I think for a couple possessions, switch right back to the 2-3 zone in this game, but they actually did in this one. Joe notes that Benny and Chris combined for 1 rebound. That's just become standard operating procedure. And they even took Benny out of the starting lineup tonight, put Malik in the starting lineup. Let's look at some numbers from this one while you guys continue to go at it here in the comments, and we'll jump back in there momentarily. We mentioned Grant Basile, 25 points. He's 11 of 23 from the field, 8 rebounds. Justin Mutt's terrific inside, 11 points, 12 rebounds. He gets a double-double for Virginia Tech. Hunter Couture did not play in the first game against Syracuse. He certainly made his presence felt in this one with 20 points, 6 of 10 from three-point range. We mentioned the terrific defense that he played on Joe Girard, had 8 assists in this game. Mutz with 8 assists in this game. Basile with 5 assists in this game. And we mentioned it, Virginia Tech put on a darn clinic moving the ball tonight, no matter what defense Syracuse was in. Mintz led the way with 21 points, 8 assists on the night, 5 turnovers on top of that. I mean, it was one of the better individual performances Judah Mintz had this year. It just came in a wasted effort, if you will. Justin Taylor plays 26 minutes off the bench. He has 12 points, all those on three-pointers for the Orange. Malik Brown starts for the first time tonight, 11.6 rebounds for him. He had a double-double in the first matchup. We mentioned that Girard struggled in this game. Girard, just 7 points, 3 assists on the night. He goes 2 of 8 from the field. Jesse Edwards got into foul trouble, never got going in this one, 9 points and 5 rebounds on the night for him. Looking at some team stats here, it's incredible. Syracuse shot 47%. And that's a number you usually think equals good things for the Orange. Certainly not tonight, as Virginia Tech countered, shooting 53%, including 13 of 32 from three-point range. I believe 11 of those, 10 or 11 of those came in the first half in this game. They didn't have to shoot threes in the second half because they just owned the paint in this one. Virginia Tech out-rebound Syracuse 37-26. They assisted on 26 of 32 baskets, and that's not just that happens against the zone. They did that. They created that. They moved the ball well and deserve full credit for that. Syracuse with just 13 assists on the night. Virginia Tech gets, 34 points in the paint to Syracuse's 26. The Orange had 15 turnovers, which resulted in 24 points for Virginia Tech. As we said, they just dominated every aspect of this game. Back to you guys here. So much for that man-to-man coach said he was going to play this season. And no Buffalo Bills tomorrow. The hits just keep on coming. Mike says, BA, this team did not even play a zone. Yeah, I don't know what we would call that out there in that game tonight. Zone defense certainly would not be it. No game plan. If there was, it certainly was not executed. Wasn't it the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach who once said, when asked about his team's execution, he said, I'm in favor of it, right? There's Steve saying we aren't just a good half-court team. We might as well press for the whole game. 40 minutes of Orange, going back to the old Arkansas teams. Nolan Richardson, 40 minutes of hell, right? Ira says, I thought we already established we can't wait till we're down by 20 to go to the press. Waited a long time to go to the press. They should have played man-to-man. I mean, at least go down trying it. You can't just brush it off and say we can't play it. How about you show us you can't play the man-to-man, right? As I said, Virginia Tech, I think it wouldn't have mattered tonight, but You want to walk away from these games feeling like you did everything you could to at least change the pace of the game, change the fortunes of the game. How much worse could it have been? I think that's a fair question a lot of you are asking here. How much worse could it have been if they went to man-to-man defense in this game? I mean, they're getting torched in the zone. There was one three-pointer, and there's a couple wide open threes where Virginia Tech moves the ball on the wing, and no one even went out to try and defend the pass. Just easy catch, shoot, three, wide open the whole time, as if this was Syracuse's first day playing the zone, right? Forget the press, switch to man. Again, that's kind of the theme here tonight. Michael saying Virginia Tech may have killed the zone, but we made no adjustments to stop the high-low pass. I made Basile look like a lottery pick. Yeah, Mutz was up there in the free throw line area for Virginia Tech, and we mentioned the assist that he had. I mean, just an absolute gorgeous display of passing on his front. But with Jesse banged up, Monier came in, didn't look good, and his opportunity to come in for Jesse, they couldn't do anything about that. I mean, just go right up the line. From the outside, it was Couture. In the middle, it was Mutz. And in the paint, around the basket, yeah, they did make Basile look like a lottery pick in this game. Dan saying, how can this happen? Quad one win on the line, and they lay an egg. Outplayed in every aspect of the game, outcoached, and just not ready to play. Usually you see these kind of efforts in noon games. This is a 7 o'clock start. They just weren't ready. And now you got Virginia coming into the Dome on Monday night, a team that, yeah, the score was 73-66, but Syracuse was down 23 points at one point in that game. Virginia certainly dominated that game. They just went on this weird, I think they hit like 3 buckets in the last 11 minutes of the game and allowed Syracuse to just chip away. And remember that game in Charlottesville? They just kept missing everything. They're not going to do that on Monday, right? You're not. And see, this first Virginia Tech matchup that Syracuse won at the Dome, Virginia Tech was 3 of 19 from 3-point range in that game. They come in tonight and hit 13 3-pointers, 10 more than the first matchup. You can't count on Virginia to do the same thing in that game on Monday as we saw in the first matchup here. Death of a program continues. As Brian notes, Rick says, change up the half-court defense against the team that knows how to move the ball. My God, open and man for 5 minutes. At least check the adjustments, then creep back into your zone defense. Chuck says 0 quad one wins in 2 years. My hell, the Cuse has fallen. Axe, please say something positive. Say something positive. I had a delicious dessert tonight. Made Toll House pie for dessert. It was really good. How about that? You want me to say something positive about this game and this team? Kind of hard to do. Judah Mintz had 21 points. How about that? Antonio says, Virginia Tech 2-7 in the ACC now and 3-7. You don't want to hear how bad Bryant turned out to be. Virginia Tech, it was a weird team, Antonio, in that sense. When you look at that 7-game losing streak, it shows you the difference with Couture back in the lineup for them. A lot of close games. I think Virginia Tech's going to be a dangerous team down the stretch. Maybe they dug themselves too much of a hole to be an NCAA tournament contention short of a deep run in the ACC tournament. But even in that 7-game losing streak they had, a lot of close games. Then they beat Duke on Monday. And that's a team that's got no one wants to play them written all over them at this point. You know what? You asked me to say something positive. Here, I'll give Syracuse this. If you guys didn't see the news earlier today, Elijah Moore, 2024 prospect, one of the best shooters in the class of 2024, top 100 prospect overall, committed to Syracuse today. Elijah, you'll recall, was at the North Carolina game courtside Monday with a Boogie with the Hoodie and Fabulous, right? 2 New York City rappers flown up on Adam Weitzman's private plane. How they're kind of dancing around NCAA rules there in terms of name, image, and likeness, I think is very creative. Chris Carlson wrote a piece about that I highly encourage you guys to read. I'm going to be writing a column about that you'll see on Monday. So keep an eye out for that one coming, guys. So there's something positive for Syracuse with the uncertainty around the future of Jim Boeheim and a program that's been down. They got a really good recruit coming in the class of 2024, and they are playing that NIL game. As Joe notes, Virginia Tech just hit another 3. Give them 14 for the program. So there you go. There you go. You challenged me to say something positive. I will give you that. Doug was ahead of me on that one, right? More committed to Syracuse. Robert says, so glad I'm in St. Pete, Florida. The smell must be horrible up in Syracuse. Well, that one was in Blacksburg, so feel bad for the people in Blacksburg on that sense. Matt notes a lot of good teams got beat today. Auburn, Bama, Arkansas, Xavier, Iowa State, TCU, Miami. College basketball for you, friends. It's a crazy world. Mike from El Paso. Sad thing is we know our guys are capable of playing and beating good teams. What's up with the players individually? Do they not care? Because it doesn't look like they do, because you could see Virginia Tech wanted this game. Why don't we see that same fire in Syracuse? Yeah, I mean, when you don't have your main guys in it, Jesse's out of it, Joe's out of it, Judah, this was a game he had to take over because nobody else other than Justin Taylor in the first half was really into it, right? I was surprised to see that. You put Malik in for the energy. Not that Malik didn't play with energy, but yeah, this was a team that just took an uppercut to the nose early in the game and just never recovered from that and never got back into what they really needed to be doing. Mintz, Steve notes, plays well when no one else is. The problem, when nobody is playing well, we need someone to get everybody going. Judah gets Judah going. Fair point there. Matt noting all that NIL money. Vince thinks the program is dead. Pete says, do you think Jim will be around to coach Elijah Moore? I mean, if I had to put money on it, I'd say no, because that's 2 seasons from now. He's a class of 2024 recruit at this point. Aaron saying, I hope Elijah is JG's replacement. Can Gerard come back next year? And if so, do you think he will? Joe does have eligibility to come back next year. I do not think he's going to come back next year. That's just a guess on my part. I talk to Joe weekly on the radio here. And once we get towards the end of the season, that's a fair question to ask him. I don't know if he'll tell me in that instance. I don't anticipate he'll be back. I don't anticipate any of those guys will be back, but who knows? Maybe one more year and kind of work on your game. Joe is clearly not an NBA prospect. He could play pro basketball somewhere. I think Europe, maybe even G League, if he really works on his game. I don't think he's big enough to play professionally long-term, but he does have another year of eligibility, so we shall see about that. Scott noting that's true, but 2 years away. What about recruiting for next year? Yeah, there are currently no recruits in the class of 2023. And that's because Syracuse has missed on a couple of players they sought in the class of 2023. There's a couple of guys they're seeking in the class of 24 that may reclassify for 23. A lot of freshmen on this team. Most of them will be back. Hard to recruit when these guys know they're not going to get on the court. You know, Moore could be an easy replacement for a couple of guys on this team that should be gone by then. Gerard notably is noted as a terrific shooter. That's kind of his scouting report, if you will, what he's known for right now. And you always have the portal, right? Doug even notes that here. What do we do at center next year? Brian with the same question. I think that's portal all the way. There will be plenty of guys in the portal you can look at. I'm sure Syracuse already has a sense of who could be there, ready to strike on that. So that would be a bigger concern that Syracuse had nobody committed in a recruiting year like next year if the portal didn't exist, because you always have that to go dip into and grab a couple of players, which Syracuse has certainly shown the willingness to do. And I think a lesson from this year is I think Jim Boeheim has even said this. I don't want to misquote him, but I'm pretty sure he said on one of his radio shows this year that this class that Syracuse has now, the 6 freshmen that came in this year, was the last traditional class they're going to have. Because going forward, you know, whether it's Boeheim or not, no matter who's coaching, you have to have a mix of talented players like Moore. For example, we'll just use him as an example that you can get with NIL money, that you can get through traditional means in recruiting and the portal. Now, that doesn't always pay off for you. There's a couple of teams in the ACC. Notre Dame is one of the most experienced teams in the league. They stink. They're at the bottom of the league. Pitt is having a lot of success with it. Pitt brought in a whole bunch of new guys, and they're right there. They're 8-3, top of the league, NCAA tournament team. It would certainly seem at this point. So you have to find that balance, right, between young up-and-comers, the Judah Mintzes of the world that you don't want to turn away, the Justin Taylors of the world, but also players that can help you right away, which Syracuse certainly seems to need. I think Tony's on to something here. Just a guess on my part too, but a good chance that Benny would be leaving, got downgraded out of the starting lineup. Matt noting not all 6 of those freshmen are going to come back. That's certainly likely. That's just the name of the game at this point, right? Antonio says, as much as I'm down on this team and Boeheim because they both stink, I will say that Mintz is the kind of guard you can build a program around. That's true, but for how long, right? Maybe another year. I mean, I've already seen Judah Mintz in some NBA mock drafts. I don't think he should leave, but the way these things go these days, if kids get enough people in their ear and they feel like they can go pro one way or the other, they're just going to leave, right? So build around, yes, but for how long is the question. I certainly think he should come back. I certainly think he will come back next year. Just a guess on my part. And here we are. We still got a month to go, and we're looking over the horizon to next year, but I don't blame you because this is not an NCAA tournament team. I would love to be on this post-game show. Ira says it here. I'm not ready to call the season this year. These guys are capable, and the momentum could swing their way. Anything could happen, but they need to wake up and play. They didn't tonight. I see what you're saying, Iris, but this team, they just don't have enough wins. And they pretty much have to run the table now to be in that conversation and still do damage in the ACC tournament. And what's going to just all of a sudden click with something like that when you got a team that's inconsistent defensively, that everybody lays eggs once in a while and plays bad games. Now, you beat Virginia Monday night. Now you wake some people up. Now that's something. Now you've got one of the best wins you can have in the ACC. So that could rattle your cage and go into February, take care of business. Don't step in any potholes against Boston College, Florida State, and Georgia Tech. Pick up a few more quad 1, quad 2 wins, maybe get into consideration here. But at this point, they're nowhere near even the bubble at this point. So I got to disagree with you there. I'd love to be wrong, like I was saying, because I'd rather talk about a team in the tournament than not, because it's just more fun that way for everybody involved. But boy, at this point, it's hard to see it. It really is. Pete notes here, with the ACC down, could we possibly win the ACC tournament? No, because you got to play defense to win 4 games in a row. You can't this team is not capable of just out shooting teams 4 days in a row to win the ACC tournament. I feel comfortable in saying that they can't win the ACC tournament with a young team that has spotty 3-point shooting outside of Girard, and he didn't even show up tonight. Justin Taylor there, Chris Bell here and there, but this team doesn't feel like one that can put it together 4 days in a row. To me, you got to play some defense in order to do that. Can we bring Buddy Buckets back on Adam Weitzman's private jet? Buddy's doing pretty well in the G League. I don't know if you guys saw that. I saw that Jimmy Boeheim today. We got a story up on syracuse.com. He left his Greek league team for a new pro basketball team that he's joining. I want to say oh boy, let me look it up while we're talking about it here, because I don't want to get this wrong. So Jimmy Boeheim was playing for a Greek team, and don't make me try to pronounce it. And his new spot is Czech Republic. There you go. So the Jimmy Boeheim, a world tour continues, playing some pro ball. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Adam and Tony, jumping in on that. Czech Republic for him. So there you have it. A couple more from you guys here. Steve notes here, not if they've already chosen the successor, and that guy is doing the recruiting. Now, the real question is, even if coach leaves, which he won't, where is this program going? Only hope is to bring in a big-name coach. Wonder if GMAC or Adrian have any promises. I mean, if I had to guess, that's what it would be. The old ironclad plan that Jim Boeheim told me about on my radio show. Could be something else, but I doubt at this point it's anything beyond that. But maybe you got to even change that up here. And I think we're going to get to a point where you got to start to say to yourself, what strategic advantage do you have by keeping this plan secret at this point? None. You're going to miss the tournament again. You're fighting for a winning season again. Now, they got more to commit today, and maybe he thinks he's going to play for Boeheim, but that still shows they can recruit. Beyond that, they've got somebody like Weitzman that's in the NIL game and can give these guys these big contracts. So, they got some pluses and minuses in this whole thing, but at some point you got to decide when that's an advantage, and it's not. It's not an advantage at all. At all. Jason says the standard of mediocrity is ridiculous. Adam says there's no plan. Boeheim coaches till he dies. The end. Like we got a weekend at Bernie's situation there on the sideline, right? They are the successors, or they would be long gone. I don't think they'd be long gone. I think they enjoy coaching here and enjoy being here, but you never know. And we're going to get to the point where it would just behoove them, I think, to put it out there. What's the plan, right? What's the exit plan? But there's still a lot of basketball to be played, friends. Virginia Monday night, and then February will be here before you know it. That little rodent's going to pop his head out of his little tree there in Punxsutawney next week. We're going to see if we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter or not. Like, here we go. Let's rock and roll. We're going into February, kids. Super Bowl's in a couple of weeks, sadly without the Buffalo Bills, but we're just cruising on through a college basketball season. That's when we're going to meet again Monday night, right here on these same channels you're watching. If you do miss the show, maybe some of you are watching in the future. We do put this YouTube clip up on all the channels you're watching here at Archives automatically. I embedded in my recap on syracuse.com. We put it out on social media. You can't miss it if you miss the show live. But if you miss the show live, you can't jump in the comments like Frankie's saying that Carmelo Anthony's the answer. Bring him back. Don't let him leave when he comes back for the 20th anniversary of the 2003 team. I think that's the last home game they're doing that, right? Is that Georgia Tech or Wake? I think it's Wake Forest, actually. So there you have it. That's why you should be live. So you can jump in the comments here like all of our great commenters did tonight. Thank you so much, guys. Always appreciate the feedback. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the football games on Sunday, even without the Bills. And go Sabres. I'll say that. The Buffalo Sabres might win Uncle Brent some money, by the way, if they make the playoffs. But they are playing out of their minds right now. So go watch a little hockey. It's good for you. What do you say we come back Monday? We'll do this all over again after Syracuse takes on Virginia. Thanks for watching tonight, though. This has been Syracuse Basketball Postgame presented by Krause Health. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody.